In this post, you will discover the smarter, better, faster implementation when writing and publishing a book. By now, we're all familiar with the purpose of goals to help us aim at something. Sometimes we have an aim or a destination to shoot for. Most people's plans are not specific enough to lead them into action and evaluation. In the book, Goal Setting for Writers, Sarah introduces the idea of SMART-E.R, which applies to any project and lifestyle goals and consists of 7 components: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, evaluated, and reviewed or rewarded. Sarah sticks with the general idea with some aspects targeted at authors. Here are a few questions under specific the book asks using the what, which, where, and who. What exactly do you want to accomplish? Which actions are required to accomplish your goal? Where will you do the steps needed to achieve your goal? Who is involved in achieving your goal? Can you complete it by yourself or do you need help with? While writing my poetry book, this is what I jotted down as part of that exercise. I will write my first poetry book on the theme of love by writing 1 or 2 poems a day with a total of between 65 to 75 poems for the collection at home with scheduled time slots tracked in my Google Calendar with a recurring daily task in my to-do list. I will work through 3 phases for each poem, from structure to drafts and into revision, with a final draft date of June 1st in 2021. Not high-level stuff here, but much better than saying, I want to write a poetry book and release it on Valentine's Day of 2022. The next step is measurable, which measures the total word count or completed drafts of poems by the deadline date. Poetry is challenging to calculate with word count because the language and style of poetry are profoundly different from prose. As one of my favorite poets, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, says, prose, words in their best order; poetry, the best words in their best order. Thus, setting a time goal and scheduling them into my calendar made the most sense. In my case, I committed 20 hours a week and split those throughout 7 days, the bulk of them on Saturday and Sunday, given I have a day job. As for achievable, I wrote on calendar days how many poems I wrote or revised and recorded them in a spreadsheet at the end of the week. This way, I can calculate the average number of poems I write or edit each week and see where I can improve. The relevant aspect sinks a bit deeper and is akin to the golden circle: why, how, and what. The exercise is built on 3 questions, and my responses were: why is your goal important to you? Better understand human nature through character development and interaction. Creative expression. I can complete challenging goals and keep going. Offer value to others. Financial freedom to leave my day job. Able to tame my inner demons and slay my dragons. I'm driven, consistent, reliable, a go-getter, a high performer, and self-sufficient. I always wanted to manifest my imagination into reality. What will be the benefits of achieving your goal be? I will establish an identity as a consistent, reliable, goal-oriented, and self-sufficient person. Steps closer to financial freedom. A better person than I was before when I used to procrastinate or give up on goals. Recognition from the public, for instance, maybe a fan base, agent, publishing house, or other authors. How will you feel once you accomplish this goal? It will be a cathartic release for each milestone and encourage me to push for more goals aligned with my values. Be humble by the experience so I don't let my pride overshadow me. Ultimately, I want to run my online business full-time to provide more value for others and generate multiple income sources while creating work that reflects my values. The time-bound aspect is where you set a deadline date for different parts of the project, and this is the most challenging part when you are starting out. Guess what that is? Procrastination. I am launching into a realm where I have yet to gain prior experience and knowledge of how to work from a previous book release to motivate me to undertake the next project. I struggle with this part of the journey because I had struggled with imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough was the most significant obstacle to completing the book. If you ask me where I stand today, I'll tell you I have taken most of the reign over that voice of doubt. Publishing a book inspired me to venture into other unknown paths with courage. Besides that, it took over a year to be clear about the release date for my first poetry book, which is February 14, 2022. I knew I had a deadline for a final draft by June 1st, 2021 to work with an editor and later a designer before the big day. As part of the evaluated method, you reflect on your progress towards the goal. You identify what you achieve, what's working, what isn't, what obstacles arose, and what methods you apply to overcome challenges. As the saying states, what gets measured gets improved. By identifying and improving areas like, did I meet my weekly writing goals? How do I spend my time throughout the week by reviewing my calendar? How do I feel about the direction and speed I'm moving? One of my biggest worries is that we don't evaluate how we genuinely feel about the tools we use to optimize our workflow to see if these hacks correspond with our values. This is especially true with trends in productivity and maximizing one's life. People quickly pick on what's popular and get bogged down from completing their task and rarely evaluating why. We're not some cog in a machine that we can fine-tune to max output, but an organic life form susceptible to distractions, varying willpower, and fluctuations of emotions. North American culture commonly has an over-obsessed need to improve in every area of our lives because we are more concerned about reaching a goal than enjoying the journey. In my case, I find it challenging to find time for family and friends. I do take regular breaks to interact with loved ones and reach out to a friend occasionally. It's still a work in progress, and the point of adding this detail to the evaluation aspect is that we do not live in silos. At the same time, lifestyle creeps up if we don't keep our eyes open and scrutinize our actions. So to remedy this, I set up my calendar with reminders of daily tasks, weekly reflective updates, and a 6-month check-in called Integrated Report from Atomic Habits, plus my Notion weekly review. Also, annual reviews and accomplishments, where I merge some questions from Atomic Habits and Ali Abdaal, a popular YouTuber known for productivity, and my Notion annual review. Finally, we reached the R word, and not the R word. Is it review? Well, no, it's rewarded. The book Goal Setting for Writers takes a different approach by injecting review into evaluation. We get to play with something unique, and I would venture to say it is mandatory. It's easy to get caught up in the flow of productivity and churn away the hours with projects and tasks. Still, as humans prone to burnout or anxiety arising beneath the surface as creatures of extremes, we are swarmed with a dreadful feeling of guilt. If I get too attached to writing a book for weeks or months, then depression will soon follow because I'm not a robot. Part of being alive is living. Living implies we should rest, experience joy, and embrace a quiet time to recenter ourselves. As a reward, I will celebrate small wins. I schedule a leisure activity at the end of the week after completing weekly writing goals. Over the weekend, I will binge watch The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies for larger milestones such as finishing the first draft. What's vital here is that you define this in advance so you are aware of what to expect and motivated to close in on that reward. This concludes the smarter implementation of my work, but what does it entail when I say better, faster? The better concept is paying attention to your weekly reflections by identifying what is and is not working, and what adjustments can I make in my workflows. For instance, if I miss the first draft deadline, I'll downsize some priorities to make more room for writing sessions to meet the deadline. Faster doesn't imply I write faster, although that will help a lot. It's implementing some checks to help me enter a state of flow quicker and longer without interruptions. For instance, 5 minutes before I write, my blocking distraction app called Freedom to start at the scheduled time and block distractions like YouTube. Then I'll jumpstart a soundtrack on Spotify and open up my writing doc and start writing. This ritual has psychological significance to create a mental cue to prepare for what's next and to strengthen my discipline to reproduce this workflow. And now I can finally say we're done here, and the next portion of this topic covers my system. The gist. This topic focuses on the author's goals and a strategy for achieving them. This is accomplished by establishing a mindset and set of always present behaviors. Still, much guidance may be used in any aspect of your life. I sincerely hope you find the ideas presented here helpful and that they help you live more peacefully. To shape the concept described here, imagination is needed. To tie everything together, I'll express the key ideas from each topic below. You probably heard of the SMART goal method before, but let's try to use the SMARTER goal method instead, which is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, evaluated, and rewarded. Having a goal and a general notion of the workflow is one thing. Still, when you are playing the long game of life and doing something like producing a book to publish and marketing, you need something smarter, better, and faster. An organized map will make finding your way around each project simpler than using a compass. The smarter, better, faster technique needs to be bulletproof. Even though we have the skills to make any project successful, after all, we are human, and our attention spans, energy levels, and moods change. Even worse, you achieve your objective, soar to victory, and then experience a cliff drop. Additionally, did you appreciate the trip itself? Be clear about your vision and your motivation, whether they are extrinsic and intrinsic. Establishing the strategy or subsystems by integrating smarter, better, faster technique the preparations we need, the technology and tools we require, and backup plans in case priorities shift should all be considered when coming up with a solution. Of course, this would include batching work and using templates. Although poetry books are not going to make the average poet break into the six-figure salary range, what matters is the impact of the poetic language effect in your life and its effect on others. So publishing a poetry book is worth it if it's not tied to external values like wealth and fame.